Good morning and welcome to Viscount Leisure. My name's Chris and I'll be doing a virtual tour around this caravan for you this morning, showing you where and how everything operates, seeing it operate, and some hints and tips along the way. We're going to set off around the outside first, then work our way through onto the inside, finishing off showing you how the motor mover works and discussing winterization of your caravan. So with no further ado, we're going to set off by the entrance door, the way into your caravan, commonly known as the habitation door in the industry, leading into the habitation area. Comes back on a magnetic catch, holds back like so to keep it open on those breezy days. Comes over, one key fits all with this van. I can turn it forwards and that will lock that door handle there, and turn it to the rear with the little sign there will unlock it. Again, it will come over, clips into position. I can do that movement inside by undoing it to open it like so, and lifting the handle up into that position to lock it when I'm inside the van. In the door there is a fixed pane polyplastic window with a blackout blind, and that will block out that daylight to give us a good night's sleep. Built into the door frame itself is a door fly screen to keep all those midges and bugs out of your caravan on those lovely summer days. So what we'll do is we'll close that over for now, and it comes also with two alarm fobs, and it's got a built-in alarm on here. Press the center button there, beep, one flash, and that's armed the alarm on the van, and if there's any movement or braking it will sense it. And I'm going to leave that set now, so when it goes in it'll more than likely make me jump as we go around. Stepping back here, spare wheel, a bit underslung behind the axle. Just double check I'm correct. Yeah, underslung just underneath there is the spare wheel. Then we come to our wheel and our motor mover. Next thing we come across is our 230 volt outlet. So that is a square pin socket as you have at home that you plug kettles, toasters, etc in. That will only be powered if you're connected on a site with mains electric. Okay, and the idea of that is when you've got your awning up, you can cut an extender board in there, have a table light, but whatever you want that runs off 240 volt electric plugged into the side of the van comes through there and watertight. One thing to note with that is always make sure that you pack that away. You don't leave it on the ground. Damp and water don't particularly mix well together. The next thing we come across is our external locker, which comes up and leads us into storage under the front bench seat here, as we will see from inside, but we've got access from outside. Looking across here, there is our alarm control box that sends that. Just forwards on the forward bulkhead is the interface fuses from my towing electrics to the lighting on the van. And just looking through the gap there, you'll see that we've got an onboard fresh water tank on here, which we'll discuss in a bit more detail, A, when we get round the other side, and B, when we get inside the van. But sat centrally, we've got an onboard water tank. Up with the locker door once we've stored our equipment away in there, and in key, turn to lock. The next thing we come across is our gas barbecue point. So if I purchase a gas barbecue, in there we have a bayonet connection that connects to the hose to your barbecue and then plugs into the side of your van like so. Open the gas valve, takes gas direct from the gas bottle out to your barbecue. Once you disconnect that, that will obviously stay connected to your hose to your barbecue and get stored away. I'm going to just put it on the step here to try to remember to take it when we go inside the van, because inside the van is a red pack, and that's full of all the handbooks relevant to this caravan that came in with it, and we'll drop that in there for you when we get inside the caravan. Just on each corner we've got a corner steady, 1, 2, 3 and 4. There's something we've got 4 of, and the whole idea of that is to stabilize the van prior to getting into it, to give you a stable platform. Pre-putting those down, you need to get your caravan level, and you do this by going to your site, reversing onto your pitches allocated, and while still connected to your tow vehicle, you need to get it level left to right by pulling it up or reversing up onto a little leveling wedge. So we're slightly down this way, so we'd want to put the wedge under, pull it onto there. Once I'm in position, we would then disconnect from your tow vehicle by lifting the handles up there, raising the jockey wheel. That will lift that up off the tow vehicle and then park your car up on the left hand side as you look forward to your van. Historically, that's where you park your van. Once we've done that, we've got it level left to right. We need to get it level from front to back, and we do that by using the jockey wheel that we just raised it off the back of our tow vehicle with. So we can lift that up and down on that to get us level from front to back. Once the caravan is level, we can then go around and lower down our corner steadies with the corner steady winding handle supplied with the van here, which will go onto there and wind it down and back up again, and that will stabilize the van. Now they are there, nothing more, nothing less than to stabilize the van. They're not there designed to lift it up, jack it up, raise it, change a wheel, etc. They're purely there to stabilize it, to give us a steady platform when we go in there. We talk in depth about leveling because it's important the van's level for three reasons. One is the fridge. The fridge, as we'll talk about in a bit more detail, desperately needs to be level to work at maximum efficiency. Two is our water drainage from our wash hand basin, kitchen sink and shower needs to drain, and it'll drain that much better when the van's level, and your own comfort when you're inside there. The other thing we've got 4 of on this caravan is 4 grab handles, 1 on each corner, and these are designed for 4 adults to have a handle each and manoeuvre the van around and push it and store it into position. Not necessarily needed with this van when you've got a motor mover on it, which we'll demonstrate at the end. We then come to the A-frame here, which is all about connecting and towing to your tow vehicle. So we've already discussed the jockey wheel that will raise and lower. There's quite a lot here to discuss, but we will always be here to connect you up for the very first time when you come in, so don't worry too much about it. It'll all be explained. So we raise and lower that to lower onto the tow vehicle. We undo the handle and that will draw that into its stored position, as we'll demonstrate on the day. The red cable here connected is what's known as a breakaway cable, and that's then connected to the handbrake. The handbrake, no buttons to press, it's a down like so, okay, and an up. It just comes down, handbrake on, handbrake off. The breakaway cable will either go through an eye on your tow vehicle or round the tow ball and lock on like so. And that's designed that should the caravan become detached from your tow vehicle, okay, it will snatch at that cable, pulling the handbrake on, thus stopping the caravan in a controlled manner till you realise that it's missing. So that's the handbrake, breakaway cable, the jockey wheel we've discussed. The other thing we've got here is our 13-pin electric connection lead, and this will connect to our tow vehicle, okay, and it's in and twist and turn. It's a 13-pin plug, so it's 13-pin electrics you'd need fitted to your tow vehicle ideally, and that will primarily it will do and mimic all your lights from your tow vehicle to your caravan. So your indicators, left, right, brake lights, side lights, reverse lights, etc. will all come through that cable and operate that in conjunction with your tow vehicle. There are 3 other things that come through from your tow vehicle to this as well, running off the vehicle charging system of our engine with our engine running, and one of those is the fridge. So the fridge is designed to work by a heat source, and one of those is from the tow vehicle when we're traveling, and we'll go into that much more detail when we get there. The other thing that they will supply is charging to my leisure battery. Now everything in your van, which is your lighting, your water pump, igniters, etc., 12-volt sockets, all come off what is known as a leisure battery, and that leisure battery we'll see as we go around the van. That's also charged when you're travelling from A to B, C to D via your tow vehicle. And thirdly, it's got automatic traction control on here, and that will sync to your vehicle, and that will, if you brake hard, it will operate brakes on your van and marry it up to your car to give you the best towing experience possible. We now come across to hooking to the tow ball of your tow vehicle. There's 2 handles here. The one at the bottom, when I lower it down onto my tow vehicle, that handle will come down like so, onto the tow ball. And what we always then do is wind that jockey wheel back up and watch the back of your tow vehicle raise. And once that's raised, you can lower it, store that away, and you know that that's on and fully connected. That's the main point that connects your caravan to your tow vehicle. And then you've got your Alcor stabilizing hedge unit here that comes down, pushes down, locks on, and inside there are 4 plastic thrust pads. And by locking that down like so, that will minimize the snaking of the caravan and the pitch of the roll of the caravan. So it reduces all that movement in there. And it does that by locking 4 plastic thrust pads onto the tow ball of your tow vehicle. So it is of paramount importance that you have your tow ball nice and clean and bright and shiny when you come to collect your caravan. If you've had a new tow bar fitted, you'll find that the tow ball is nicely painted black. You need to get a little bit brutal with it and scarify it all the way back to get it nice and steel and shiny. That will only work maximum efficiency if it is on that clean, shiny tow ball. When you disconnect, rolls opposite, handle back up, handle up, wind the jockey wheel up, lift it off your tow vehicle. Working our way around now to the near side, the first thing we come across is another corner steady that we've discussed, and the flue from our boiler. So my boiler's sat in the front corner of my caravan here, and this boiler is an Audi boiler. It will do my heating and my hot water, and I can operate it on gas and or electric, so I can work it on either, and we'll see all that on the controls. That's just the flue. Should I be operating it on gas, it will naturally flue out from the van. Here we've got our shower outlet, external shower. There's a point there that will plug into the side of the van there, operate the tap, and it will work exactly the same as the taps inside the van, where it works on a pressure system, where when the pressure drops, the pump will cut in and put water out. This is cold water only, really designed for washing down your hiking boots or hosing down the dog, or etc, etc. But all you're going to do is be taking water from that barrel or the inboard tank to put out through here. I'm going to store this in the front locker, which is my LPG locker here. So this will come into here, and it houses my gas bottle and all sorts of other equipment that you choose to want to put in there. So I've got my shower in there, my corner light handle, my airframe cover that I'm giving you to go on the airframe to protect that, and a length of grey water waste hose that we'll discuss shortly. And also that's got my gas test bottle on there to show you everything working on gas. And basically you got bottle there and room and facility for 2, so that allows you, should you run out of one, to change over to the other. And it comes from the bottle through an isolating valve on the top, which is clockwise to close it, anti-clockwise to open it, through into a regulator. Regulator reduces bottle pressure down to van working pressure, and then it goes into the caravan through a series of isolating valves, and so that every appliance inside the van can be isolated. Now, some tips in here. One is always make sure the bottle's secured in. 2 is always make sure your bottle's switched off before you travel off. Okay. 3, when you open your bottle for the first time, always go in and open up the hobs and purge the gas through, light those, so that you know you've got gas into your van. And then when you come to light your other appliances that you can't see the flame on, you know that they're got a better chance of lighting first time every time. Ideally, it's worthwhile trying to get 2 bottles, because say if you run out of one, you can swap over to the other. And when we finish this demonstration, I'll be taking that bottle off ready for my next film, and I'll show you how then we would change over and disconnect a bottle. So moving back round to the side there, we discussed the shower, we've stored that away. And then we come to our water barrel. Now there's a series of things that you'll need to purchase. 1 is most likely a hitch lock for this caravan. Okay, so you'll need a hitch lock with it to secure it at least. 2 is more than likely you'll need an aqua roll if you're new to this. 3, you'll need a waste barrel as well. And 4, you'll most likely need to get yourself a mains lead. So there's a few items that you'll more than likely need to think about purchasing alongside your caravan if you're new to this. The aqua roll is a 40-litre barrel. You get the barrel, you take it off, fill it up, fetch it back, and then the pump pickup comes supplied with the van, and that drops into the barrel. And you've got 2 water inlet points here, okay, and they're both identified there to be used drinking water only. That one will operate the pump here and pump the water into your inboard tank to fill that up on there, and this one here will go in and directly draw from my barrel into the system of the caravan, and this will become a little bit more clearer when we get inside. So the top one there will allow the operate the pump on the bottom of here to pump water from this barrel to the onboard tank, and the bottom one will take water directly from this barrel into the van. It's like having 2 aqua rolls realistically, one here and a tank. If you use your first aqua roll to fill your tank, go back and fill it up, you've got that as a reserve down here, and we can change over from inside, as you will see. Next thing we come across here is our leisure battery locker, and we discussed and said about our leisure battery supplying all our 12 volts lighting etc in the van. It's sat here, okay, and that is charged 3 ways on this caravan. One is it will be charged, as we discussed, with our towing electrics from our tow vehicle, and it will charge that battery while we're travelling from A to B, C to D, etc. Secondly, when we're plugged into mains electric, as we are now, there's an onboard 240 volt charger, and that will charge my leisure battery via the onboard charger. And thirdly, it's got a solar panel on the roof, and it'll take the sun from today and charge that battery as required. So that means that no matter what situation I'm in, whether I'm in a field in the middle of nowhere, my battery's going to be well supported. If I'm doing a lot of touring from site to site, it's going to be charged like that as well. And when I'm on a site with mains, it will charge that way also. Speaking of connecting to mains, there's our mains lead that we said you most likely need to purchase one of. They come in 25-metre lengths, and the ideal of this is you plug into your caravan first and then go off and plug into your point of electric. Once you've finished your holiday and you're disconnecting, you disconnect from your point of electric first, and then you come back and disconnect from your caravan. The reason for this is you're always dealing with dead power, you're never dealing with live power, therefore you're minimising the risk of electric shock or harm or injury to yourself. So just to reiterate, into van, into electric. Once you're finished, out of electric, out of van. Although you get 25-metre lead, lots of people like to buy a drum and coil them up like so, or just coil it up and put it down. There it does draw quite a lot of current through here. If you do this, you've got running the risk of melting the inner cores of that cable out. So what I always recommend is that you fake out the mains lead alongside the van like so. Therefore you're not going to create that problem. That lead does go in there behind the little hook on the door, and the locker door will shut up with it coming out and lock also by the one key provided on there. Coming through here now, we come to our fridge vents on the rear, and we've got a lovely fridge in here. If you look at the fridge when we get inside, it looks very domesticated, but it does work exactly opposite to a domestic fridge. It's got 3 independent heat supplies, and that's because it heats a liquid which changes to a gas. The gas is the cooling medium, goes up, cools the fridge down, drops back down as a liquid. And those 3 independent heating supplies is, one we've just discussed, is from our tow vehicle with the engine running if I select the battery icon on the fridge. 2 is, as is doing now, is running on gas. And 3 is on mains electric. So that's your 3 independent heat mediums, and I'll show you how to switch over onto those when we get inside your caravan. Just below there is our grey water outlet, so that's the water drainage from our kitchen sink, wash hand basin and shower, and that was what the grey water hose in the front locker supplied for, was to go. So you can cut that in half, put a T-piece in, buy a kit, whatever you're required to do, and that will fetch those pipes out into your Wastemaster, which we said you'd need to purchase, which lays alongside the wheel of the van there. And pretty much the rule of thumb is, once you have finished your barrel is empty, then your grey water, your waste master will be full, and you go off and do all your ablutions at the same time. Next thing we come to is our toilet here. Now everyone starts to worry about a toilet in a caravan. There really is no need. It isn't a great deal different to a toilet at home. Instead of it going down a 6-inch soil pipe into a sewer, this is going through a 3-inch gate valve into a holding tank. When we flush it, it's also very similar, except this tank doesn't refill itself and it's got a little pump inside to flush the toilet. And the tank that we're talking about is set up the top here, and we open that and we fill that with fresh water and add a pink additive to it to make it give it a fragrance smell. But by adding that pink additive, it does 3 things realistically. It lubricates the pump that's internal there to pump round. It gives us a nice fragrance smell when we flush the toilet, and it mixes with a chemical that goes into the toilet down here, okay, and breaks down the contents as well. So there is our toilet cassette, and we remove that by lifting up the orange handle, extracting the toilet from there like so. And what you see from inside your van is that disc there like that. Once you've been to the toilet, you turn a lever on the side, open that and drain the contents into the tank. The problem is some people tend to forget and leave that open. So if you come to take this toilet cassette out and for any reason it doesn't come out with the ease that I've just demonstrated, it's for one reason and one reason only, and that is because somebody's been to the toilet and left that open. Don't force it, pull it, tug it, because then you will cause all sorts of problems. Just go in, alter the lever, make sure the discs are cross, and it will extract like that. Once you've extracted it, you can either wheel it like so over to what's known as an Elson point, or you can carry it by hand. Either or, when you get there, turn the spout around, take the cap off, place it somewhere well away from where you're about to empty your toilet, pressing the air release button which allows air in as we put water out, and shake the contents out down into the pit at the Elson point. Every Elson point will have a hose there so you can wash it out, clean it, and once you've got it to the standard and level of cleanliness that you want it, go back to your caravan. You're then back to your caravan to charge your toilet ready for use, and that is 75 ml of a liquid blue chemical that you pour into there and put into there. And the good book, should you read it, also says to add 2 litres of water. The downside of that is you add 2 litres of water if your van's in use and you will be full in no time. So I tend to just get the container of blue liquid chemical, couple of glugs in there, put it in and carry on using. If I'm emptying out and going out next weekend, for example, I'd put a blue chemical in there and leave it ready for next weekend. If I'm laying up and not going for a period of time, I'd wash it out and leave it empty. Once we're done, we slide it back in, handle slops down there, and that comes around and stores away. Now, one thing we need to talk about is winterization. Now, again, if you read, you should empty this tank each time you travel, okay? But it's more so important in the winter when frost is imminent. We know there's a pump inside there. We know that when water freezes, it expands. If we leave the water in there, we've got the risk of damaging the pump. To drain that tank, just underneath there's a little black pickup pipe, and then by nipping the pipe, pulling the plug, it'll drain down. Now this one will be empty, okay, because we empty them all before we film them, so that's all nicely emptied out. Okay, so when you come to get your van, you'll need to fill that toilet tank up and then drain it down. I always put it into a gallon container and then put it back in. Lots of people travel with it full, but ideally it's additional weight on the back quarter that you could possibly do without. So, but it is important, frost imminent, must drain it down. Nothing worse than frost damage on those toilet pumps. Coming round to the rear, we've got our lighting clusters, grab handles, purpose-built fitted bike rails on there, and then we're round through here to our entrance door back to come into our caravan. So in we come. We talked about the handsets and there the handbook pack, and there's the handbook back there. There's the alarm, picked up my movement, press the middle button, 3 clicks, and that has now cancelled that alarm. So There's a handbook packs we discussed with all the relevant handbooks in it. I've just dropped that bayonet connection into the bottom of there, and then we will find that in that second drawer down just there when you come to collect your van. So that's where you will find that. And the top handle there allows me to make that into a breakfast bar area, so when I'm sat here, just two of us in the morning, I can sit there and have my breakfast, my coffee and biscuits at 10 o'clock, my cheese and wine in the evening. And that's quite a nice little feature there. There is a fixed table in here, as we'll see as we go around, a freestanding table that I can put in there if I wanted to wine and dine guests, etc., or use the table outside. Overhead here is all my overhead lockers for storage, 1 and 2, and this one here is a lift up as well for storage. Key to storage is always put your lightweight equipment up the top and your heavyweight stuff down below. I always recommend chocolate crisps and peanuts upstairs, or wines, beers and spirits down below. All the essential commodities in caravanning life. The windows in here all operate the same, so push the button release, and this has got a vented position, so I can set that back into that vented position there. I can go out to 1 click. Now you need to push this gently and wait for the click. 2 clicks, because they're on what's known as click clack stairs. Push it and release it, I'll fetch it back in and close it off like so. Built into there is a blackout blind, so we can black all that light out in the evening to get a good night's sleep, or we can have our fly screen, have all the light in the day, or we can set it where we want it so we can vent it, shade it and allow the air circulation in the van if we want to watch telly, read a book, etc., and the sun's blazing in. So they all work exactly the same around the whole of the caravan. The front in this van ideally makes into 2 singles, or it gives you 1 big double bed. So to make it into a double bed, I then just get the slats, pull the leader board there, pull that out all the way to the end like so. I get the back and flick it upside down and drop it in there, and then I get the back on that one, and I tend to flick them over because the knee roll of the cushion then goes to the outer edge. Do the same on the other side, and there you have 1 huge double bed. Once you're finished in the morning, okay, we just do exactly rolls opposite. I'm just going to move that over to there, shut this up. These slats just go back into there with the leader board into there like so. And then I'm just going to have a little look under this seat, which is accessible also from the top. There is the door we saw from outside. There was our alarm control box, and I've got a drop down flap so I can access it without disturbing somebody sat on the top of it. Seat base back in like so, and my back cushion in there like that. I've got a series of lights coming round, so my reading lights are all dimmable and spotlightable. So I've got 1, 2, 3 and 4. You can hear the stereo through there. I've also got a set of downlighters down there. This is a fixed pane window in the front, and that again, because it's fixed pane, only has a blackout blind like so. It doesn't have a fly screen because it doesn't open. My skylight here, press the button, I can open that all the way up wide, or I can take it down and set it into strategic positions to give me the same ventilation alongside a blackout blind and a fly screen as I have on my side windows there. I'm just going to take this side out now because we come to the bit more equipment, okay, which is important to see and understand. So in this locker under here, okay, in that front corner there is my boiler. We know the boiler's there because we saw the flue outside. The pipework, just note the pipework's plastic with all push fittings coming through, and you can see it passing all the way through the van. That was a battery with our battery box just there, and there we have where our mains lead comes in. That is my control box for my motor mover, so that will control everything my motor mover does, and we'll discuss that at the end. There's the battery charger we talked about, the intelligent charger that's sat on the side there, which will be charging my Leisure battery all the time we're here. Now, because there's a solar panel on the top of here, that Leisure battery will stop with this van, because a solar panel needs something to work with and work against. There are no guarantees on that Leisure battery. You might have it for 1 trip, 2 trips, 3 months, 3 years. Okay, there is no guarantee given with it. We believe they're all right, but I don't know the longevity of them. We then come through, after our battery charger, through to what is commonly known as a PSU, power supply unit. And this power supply unit does everything electrical. So my 240 comes into here, and that operates exactly as you would see on your fuse board at home. You've got a master RCD and then your 3 MCBs there. Okay, they are all identified in that front locker there. Sockets, white, heating and fridge are the 3 MCBs there. You need to have your heating switch on there, and the battery charger. If I switch the charger off, that's it off, that's it on. I need the same for the heating to be able to operate my heating on there. Okay, so that's on there like so. One of the frequently asked questions is that when I've got on site I've got no electric. I'll more than likely guarantee you that you have got electric. It's the site that's supplying you with electric that's a problem. And to make sure that that is the case, if you press the test button just there, T for test, that trips. If that, when you press that, doesn't trip like I've just demonstrated, then there is no power coming in from your site post. You're going to need to go and see your warden and say that you've got no electric on your post. And the reason that needs power into here, into the van, for that to operate. If I have no power, that won't operate. So that's just a good check to make before you go complaining that there is no power, and before you think it's the van. You guaranteed 90%, 99% even of the time it's your site electrics, not your van electrics. We then come along to our 12 volt fuses on this side, again all identified up down there, battery charger, fridge, etc., igniters, all on there, and we'll give you a red light if they're out. And in the top left hand corner is what's known as a system shutdown button, so I can switch that off by pressing that and lifting it out. If I switch that off, it isolates the whole 12 volts and it'll shut all the system down in the van. It's there to protect the Leisure battery. The solar will still charge it, but there'll be no drain off there when you're in long-term storage, etc. It's also very useful if you've got any problems anywhere, to switch it off on there. It isolates the whole 12 volts, leave it for 5 minutes, switch it back on, and it will reboot all the systems in the van. So it's a useful switch to remember where it is. Putting the seats back together there now, 1 and 2. Okay, dropping that into there, and we're all now back to rights. So the flap down at the front here, well, we know that the fresh water tank we talked about is here. Okay, there's our water pump sat on there, and I've got a drain valve from my boiler and a drain valve from my fresh water tank. Okay, to drain these down to ground. It tells me exactly what to do inside here. So if I'm using an internal supply, they both need to be closed to stop any water coming out. By having that valve in that position there, I'm taking the water out of my internal tank. Okay, to empty or to use my external, I turn that to that position, and that will take water direct from the barrel through into my water system. To fill it up, all I need to do is change the pump outlet outside, put it up in the top, and then that will start to fill my tank here. Okay, and to drain all the systems, I need it to be open in that position and drain those like so. And there's a self-explanatory note all down through there to explain it. At the end of this, I'm going to drain the system down, and we'll see it all drain down and understand the process of draining it. Okay, if you didn't want to use that, you just leave your valve in that position there. You need to close the boiler drain valve or both of those realistically. Okay, that one there is the drain from the boiler. That one there, I believe, is a one from the freshwater tank. Okay, but we'll drain those down at the end of this demonstration. In the front here, we've got a 240 volt socket, USB and aerial points, and my light switch here, which does a little footlight just down the bottom there. All right, so you can have that on in the evening and see your way on the floor to get up to go to the bathroom should you need it. And that's just the little light from that position there. Extender table here comes up and gives us an extended worktop. Lift it up with a forearm, drop those down into position like so. Press the button and that will then take all my lights off. That's my down lighters, up lighters, or mood lights as I like to call them, okay, on that switch just there. Okay. There we are. And then we've got two 240 volt sockets there. Not forgetting what I said, they will only become live and active if you're plugged into mains electric. They will not be live. So if you wanted to use your hair dryers, curlers, straighteners, toasters, kettles, razors, shavers, etc., you need to be on a site with 240 volt electric. If you haven't got that, then that will not work. Okay, so it'll only work when you're plugged into mains electric. On the other side here, you've got, mimicking the front, USB, aerial, 12 volt socket, 240 volt socket, so that I could either have a telly here or my telly at the front along here, which I think is a lovely spirit. You put your bottles of wine on there when you get on site. Lovely. Up on the top here, in here we've got more cupboard space, and there we've got our radio module, which I'll show you in a minute, and my solar panel charge controller. Now that charge controller is solar panel, it's all self-maintaining, it does its own thing. It just needs to be kept clean, but it regulates the charge going into your leisure battery, so you can't overcharge it. Over on this side, plate rack, mug racks, more storage, and we're now into the kitchen. So we've seen our front there, which is a lounge, bedroom and dining room. Now we're coming into our kitchen area here. Microwave, quick start, minute increments, self-explanatory microwave, stop, cancel, open, and inside there is your microwave plate. Once you come to collect your vehicle, that microwave plate will be inside your handbook pack in the second drawer down. My window here operates exactly the same, and I've got a little down light there. Press that and that down light lights my kitchen. You can see I've got water stood in there. Okay, that water standing in there because I am not level as I should be. If I was level, it would then drain away naturally. On my cooker, I've got a hot plate, which I've just switched on. It's showing me it's on because I've got a red light there. And you'll then start to see that. And I can set that from 1 through to 6. Heat and steam as it's drying out. There we go. I'm going to switch it off because I don't want that to get too hot. There we are. There is the steam and the water evaporating off that hot plate. So if you're plugged into electric, and only if you're plugged into electric, you'll be able to use that on the hot plate. The 3 gas hobs, it's simply turn it, gas it, ignite it by pressing the button just there, light it, hold it, release it. 1, 2 and 3, like so. There we have those. They will all go down to a simmering, back up to maximum and back round into the off position like so. My grill here, I've got a grill pan and grill pan handle, exactly the same, round, gas it, ignite it, light it, hold it, release too early, release it, and there we have our grill on, and then we can grill our toast, bacon, etc. when we get up in the mornings. Down into our oven. Now our oven will light from there. It's a fan assisted oven. The fan will cut in when it needs to, and I've got a light there that I can press along with a grilling tray and my that's the grill tray there. Okay, so that's my grill tray. Sits in there for grilling, which is a larger one. That one doesn't belong, someone's got mixed up. Okay, so there's my oven on. You can see that there. My light, I can press that and put that there, and there's my oven shelf in there, like so. Can set my my oven from 1 through to 6, which is your normal oven temperatures, just graded down that way. Once I'm finished, lid down, close and closed off like so. You need to always make sure that lid's up if you're operating the grill or the oven. If the grill or the oven doesn't light, it's because you're isolated on that lift button. So here we've then got a drawer that comes out like so there, and then underneath we've got our storage pods there, and storage, nice storage on that, which will put trays to put our items, equipment in. Security bracket on there, just goes back, little security to stop it flying out there like so. The gas isolating valves, there's 2 here. They're colour coded green and blue. Green and blue is a hob, and the fridge just there. And I've got my draining board and chopping board also that fits up on my sink. Down underneath the cooker, small pan cupboard, which is small, with a socket. That socket there powers up my electric hob on the other side. Round on this side, another drawer, another storage cupboard, big storage cupboard there, lots of storage, beautiful van. Down and along again, more storage underneath my fridge, and more storage above my fridge, and above my fridge houses my TV aerial, and in there, that's my TV aerial. And if I slacken off the collar of the TV aerial there like so, that allows me to be able to lift that up, raise it, direct it to get the best possible picture. The little handle there alters the plane of the dish on the top, some from the horizontal through to the vertical position, always making sure it's in the horizontal when we're traveling, and it's stored facing forwards there, nipped off, so it's in the right direction for traveling. And from that aerial it comes through, supplies into a booster, and from the booster it comes out through to the 2 aerial points that we said. The switch to switch that light on and off is in the top left hand corner, okay, of that unit, and that's my TV aerial booster. We now come to our fridge. We said it looks quite domesticated. You got all your fridge shelves in there, your salad crisper, and your nice freezer box in the top, which we've made a lovely chunky chunk of ice there. Okay, so that's all been working all very nicely. The panel behind the door is behind the door to operate. So we said we heard the gas roaring outside. It's been operating on gas. There's my 3 icons. I've got the battery sign, which is only when I'm connected to my tow vehicle, gas, and my 240. And to change through those, I press the button there, electric 240, battery. Now it's going to alarm because I've got not connected to my tow vehicle. Over to gas, start, ignite and light, over to electric. This fridge has got an automatic setting, okay? So you can see now, by going to automatic, it's automatically selected electric because we're plugged into electric. If I disconnected the electric, it would automatically change back to gas. So, and when I connect up to my tow vehicle and switch my gas battle off, it will automatically change over to the battery off my charging system and my tow vehicle. So auto is the one to be set on, because if you're on auto, on electric site, you go out for the day, somebody comes along, plugs in, trips the electric, it'll automatically change to gas, keep your fridge, everything in your fridge frozen, your drinks cold for when you come back in from your day out, okay? And if it goes back onto electric, it'll go back to electric again. The only difference with this is if you're traveling in the auto mode, when you get to your destination, it takes 20 minutes to find where it wants to go, because it doesn't sense it's not gone into a fuel station. Therefore, it gives it a 20-minute delay because it hasn't got the intelligence to think you've gone on site and not trying to fill up with fuel. To alter the temperature of the fridge, the little thermostat there, up to maximum, down to minimum, and there we have that. And to switch it off, button top left hand corner, press and hold. There we are, fridge is now switched off. Door closed, or like so. So We've made the ice and now we're going to defrost it. Although all our taps look very domesticated, they're really not. We've seen the push fit connections. That's cold through to hot. That's my pump running because the pressure's dropped in the system. This is going to take the hot water that the boiler's produced, okay, and then come through, and that's running out at 60 degrees, so that's going to quite happily melt my ice there. There we are. Okay, so we can mix that to give that, I can put my hand under it then and still melt the ice, okay, but not scorch myself, or I can get it hotter like so. Okay, now because I've got hot water here, I'm guaranteed to have hot water through the remaining of the van because the boiler in the front does all of my water throughout the van. All right, it heats all the water, so it'll be the same through the rest when we get into the bathroom. So there you can see that you've got your sink, your hot water and your tap. Keep it nice and clean and tidy. Okay, coming through now into the bathroom. We said we had hot water, it'll come through, so we'll have hot water coming through here. Just takes a little longer because it's got that little bit further to come through the system. Okay, so it's coming past now the kitchen tap into the bathroom. Oh, there we go, it's coming through lovely and hot, and again we can mix that or have it cold for cleaning our teeth. The shower is exactly the same. Okay, hot through to cold through to mix, and you can see how wonderful that pressure is on that shower. The downside of having such a wonderful pressure on that shower is that everybody will want to stand underneath it when you get in it. Not forgetting, realistically, you've only got 40 litres of water that's in the barrel. On here, you've got the tank inside, so it's not too bad should somebody get in there. But pretty much the golden rule is get in, get wet, switch it off, soap down, switch it back on, rinse off, get out, let the next person in. Surprising how many people you can get through there. A rail there for hanging your wet clothes on. Pull the lever on there and that slides the shower door over like so when we're in there. Different, same skylight in here, it's the same thing, except it's only got a little fly screen on it, no blackout blind on it. Nice mirror on there, stereo speakers up the top here, cupboard storage underneath there like so, along to our wardrobe sat here with my carpets for this caravan sat in there. Okay, and behind those carpets there is the header tank. Now the Audi system on here is what's known as a wet system, so it's very much like your central heating system at home. It's got a header tank in there, bubbles along, okay, so it expands and keeps the system, so it's a closed system that goes all the way around through the van. There's a radiator and back through to the header tank there as well. Okay, so that is our wardrobe with a header tank. Socket there, so hair dryers, etc., only if I'm plugged into mains. Window does the same, exactly the same as everything else. Okay, and then we come down to the toilet. We saw from outside. The only difference is you can swizzle this to give you the best leg room. Okay, and whether you choose to sit or stand, you go to the toilet. The slide lever's just sat on the side there. Slide that over, empty the contents into the tank. Press the flush button, will flush water from that tank through the edge down. Once it's all down and drained away, close the toilet slide valve over like so, thus retaining the smells in the tank and not in the van, and allowing the operator the ease to take the toilet out first time every time. A really good tried and tested system. The lights for your bathroom are just on the side there, on and off. There we have your lights, and the table we spoke about is sat inside there, so there is my table, freestanding, use it inside or out. Another little light here, directional light, so if I wanted to illuminate this area up I can do on there like so. So we're closing up to the end now with 240 volt socket on here, so I can do my hair in the mirror there, and then I've got my carbon monoxide detector and my smoke alarm just here. There we go. In the kitchen, I missed this, I do apologise. Okay, I've got, that will open up there and ventilate, but I've also got an extractor fan on there, okay, which I can increase the speed of, or a supply fan which will take in the other direction. It'll stop itself automatically and reverse the flow and start to fetch air in then, and then back off like so, and down and closed like that, with a blackout light to give you that good night's sleep. So we're now going to come over to our Audi control panel. This is fairly simple and straightforward if we don't get too deep into it. This front screen showing me the van temperatures at 25.5 degrees, and I'm connected to mains electric. That's my little house. Press the menu button. You can see I'm set at 21, the little house there. If I increase that temperature up to 28 for egg, 29, it'll go up to 30. It's no different to your room thermostat in your house at home. If I go back there, you now see that I've got a little rotary dial in the corner. That's because the pump on the boiler started and it's circulating the water in the heating system around the system, okay, and that is now going to start to heat my van to 29 degrees, and it's a heat that raises up through the thin pipework system behind the seats. It passes through here, under the door, round the shower, through the radiator, all the way down the other side. But I know it's operating because that's operating there. Come down to my shower here. There we've had it on. If I go to there, that's my hot water off. My hot water on where I've had it at 60 degrees. If I click that again and go over, that's now gone to a boost. So that will boost my hot water. It's now stopped the heating because it's concentrating on heating my hot water. Once my hot water's up to temperature, it'll then put the heating back on. Or that position there is doing heating and hot water. And I can operate my boiler on 1 kilowatt of electric, 2 kilowatts of electric, or 3 kilowatts of electric. And I can operate it on 3 kilowatts of electric and gas, or 2 or 1. And so I can operate it on gas and electric, or on gas if I have got no electric available to me. So you can see I can use it with or without gas, on and off, okay, by using the symbols on that screen. And that really is all you need to know. If I go into the bottom right button, there is my settings button. I can check priority is electric, because if I'm using it on electric and gas, when everything's up together and up to speed, then it will drop the gas off and just operate it on electric. There's time, I can alter the brightness of the screen, etc. Not something you particularly want to get too involved in initially unless you're experienced with it. And then last one, page 4, is a reset button. So if you get in doubt or you get concerned, press the reset button, reset it all back to factory settings, and away we go. There is a return key there which will take you back to the front screen. So just to reiterate, this is really the only screen you need to worry about. Gas on and off, green is on, blue is off. My electric there, which is a little lightning strike, is off, but I can select it to 1, 2 or 3 kilowatts depending on my site and site loading. My shower or my hot water there is off, 60 degrees or boost, and my room temperature I'm going to take down to 19. So at this time of year, so when you come to put everything on, you can alter your temperature accordingly. And to switch that control off, bottom left hand button, and it's now switched off. The light switch just inside the door here does all my lights coming in, including my kitchen lights and those. So when I come back from being out, press that and it puts all those lights on there for you. The main control panel, what was known as a tablet panel there, carrying on with the lighting, I can go there, lighting here. This one, I can dim those mood lights at the front, and you can see by setting that to where I want it, I can set the ambience of the evening and dim those lights all the way down to 5%, and it dims all the lights in the front or all the way back up to 100%. You can see those increasing there. If I press the middle button, I can switch them off as well. So it's only the one dimmer 2 that works on here. Dimmer 1 is a system that works in different vans. Press the home button. My awning light that we saw outside, just down there, so that lights up the awning, or when we come back to our van, is on and off from that position there. There it is on, and there we have it off. So that's the on and off button for there. Power tells me all about my power. Leisure battery's got 12.8 volts, no solar coming in, electric's connected, so everything's good on there. Okay, there's solar kicking in and out. Because it is an intelligent system, it just does its own thing. Water, that's giving me the level of water in my front tank there. If I want to fill that tank from outside, I plug my hose pump in and press fill, and that will fill it, and I can monitor there what levels in that tank, and then I can set tank alerts and frost alerts on there as well. And then radio, okay, there we have it set. Scan, tune, volume up and down. Okay, there and back. You can program it, preset it, and that is the control block that's in there. So it all comes off the digital system. Okay, I can then go into DAB, auxiliary, and off. So that's now my radio off. And then I can go into settings and be able to set the date, time, 19th, Saturday, times 11:17. Okay, all on the screen there, and it shows me screen timeout 5 minutes, screen brightness set at 80%, through into there and back to the main screen, which is showing me my internal temperatures there, external temperature, humidity, date, time, leisure battery, and electric connected. And to switch that off, press and hold the button there, and that's my system now switched off. So we've completed everything we need to. What we've got left now is to demonstrate the motor mover in a minute. When we get ready to hook up to our vehicle, we need to talk about winterization, and when we need to get and de-rig the van ready for the road. So we'll talk about winterization of your van, and that's draining it down. We talked about the toilet. We need to do exactly the same with this, because as we pointed out earlier on and witnessed, in the front there, all your pipes are plastic push fit pipes. Okay, with my pump off now, then I won't get any water coming through there because the pump's not cutting in because it's switched off, which means I can then come along and open up the drains that we said. So draining the system, ensure that's from the outside, lift that lever there, lift that one there, and they're draining my inboard tank and my boiler to ground. I then need to come round and open up all my taps and set them to the mid position. All right, that's my kitchen sink, my wash hand basin, and my shower. And the reason that I do this is because in the winter depths, when the van's not in use, it gets cold, you've got the risk of that water freezing. As we've said once before, water freezes, it expands. If it's got nowhere to go, you're going to come into your van the following season and find all your pipes are ruptured, damaged, split. Put water in it, you're going to get water in your van. By doing this, at least you're giving yourself a good chance. If you come in here, find you've got an icicle from there to there, that's pretty good news because you actually know it's worked and it's allowed for that expansion. So what do you do when you get your van and you're all excited and you're ready to use it? Well, we would have already taken our barrel off, so you get your barrel, you go away, fill it up with water, come back, put it by the side of your van. If you just want to use the barrel and not bother with a tank, you plug it into the bottom filler point, put your pump into the barrel, and then come into your van and close the two yellow drain valves from the vertical upright position to the parallel to the floor position. Then come round and close all your taps, 1, 2 and 3. Come to your tablet up here, switch it on and switch the pump on. Once your pump's on, the tablet's on, 12 volts in the van, come through to your tap, turn it on to cold, move it through to hot. And what's going to happen is the pump's going to run, it's going to take the water from the barrel outside, fetch it in, push it into the boiler, and then force the air from the boiler out through this tap. This is going to take you 4, 5, 6 minutes. By the time you've done that, it gives you the opportunity to go and fill up your toilet flush tank ready for use. When you come back, you should find you've got a constant flow of cold water coming through the hot side of the tap. If you have, you can then close your tap and then go through to your other 2 taps and do exactly the same, because that gets rid of all the air. Once you've done that, you're then safe to start heating that hot water on your boiler control panel. If you wanted to fill up your internal tank, you would put your pump to fill your barrel, put your pump to the top one, come in, go on to fresh water, fill and fill that tank up. Your drain's already closed to do that, and then go back and fill up your aquaroll, so then you've got a full fresh water tank on board and an external tank outside. So that is you ready now. You know how to operate, what to do. All we want to do now is finish our holiday and de-rig our van. So we'll come round here. You can see the water's all drained out. It's starting to trail around there. The first thing we come to do is turn off our gas. We've all finished with it now. Boiler's off, heating's off, fridge is switched off. So we come along and switch our gas bottle off in the off position like so. Okay, now that's off, ready for travelling, but I'm going to simulate that bottle's empty. This nut here is a back to front thread, so it's right to undo it, left to tighten it. So it's exactly the opposite to what you would expect. That's because it's a gas fitting. Okay, so you turn it to the right. If in doubt, it tells you on the end of the knurled nut, and through and off that comes. When you remove it, always make sure that rubber grommet's on the end, because that's what gives you the gas seal, and then put it onto your second bottle. Purge your system through the hobs and you're ready to go. Undo your strap, take your bottle out, and then you can take your bottle away to exchange it for a fill bottle and put it back in the van once you're done. So that's your gas, as we promised. Round here now, before I drain the system down, I would have taken my barrel away, wiped it, cleaned it and done things rather than run in and out. So to remove the pump, pull the pump out, lift it up like so. These microfiber cloths are ever so good for drying bits and pieces out. Lay that in the front locker there, just like that, and then you can take your barrel away, empty it, clean it, wipe it and store it in your van where you choose to store it. My colleague's just told me that he's disconnected my electric, so I can safely take that out from there and take that away. Again, you'd coil this up, more than likely store it in your front locker or under that seat on the side. Me, I'm just going to put it down here ready for the next van. And you would then take your Wastemaster, clean it, wipe it, store it, and your grey water hoses out from there. Okay, and clip those over like so, and that's your grey water done. So you now, everything's all now disconnected, so you're now ready to connect up to your tow vehicle. Well, it'll be a little bit difficult to get in here and reverse up, so what we're going to do is we're going to take our legs up and we're going to use our motor mover just to turn this round the corner to make life a little bit easier. I'm going to use my electric drill because it takes a lot less time than it does with the manual handle, so it's quite a useful bit of kit to have. Okay, but for the purpose of this, it just speeds up the process. Okay, so you're not so bored while I'm doing it. The little pipe there is the overflow pipe from the header tank in the rear of there that we talked about, the Audi tank. There we have my corner steadies up now. My van won't move because the handbrake's on. Okay, so that's absolutely fine. And the handsets and etc. for the mover are just sat and will be inside the door when you collect. So with this wrench bar here, this goes on to that there and goes all the way on. We then come up, push flat of hand because it hurts if you don't, firm push down, okay, and that then locks the rollers on to the wheels. I tend to keep everything just inside the door, thus like that. And then we come through and round, and here's my isolating key, because the mover control box is isolated, so we put that into there and turn it to the front like so. And what that's done now is taken power direct from my Leisure battery through to my motor mover control box. I can then now come along and switch my control on by pushing the 2 green buttons like so, and there we have a single light. Little picture of the caravan. Because the mover's now engaged, I can release the handbrake and the caravan isn't going to move because it's engaged on the movers, and I can now press forwards, and I've turned my caravan into a remote control caravan. I can walk around it, I can swing it round to the left, so you can see that I can now get it into a position, or even get it onto the back of my tow vehicle, aligning that up to the center of the tow ball, and then I'm all ready then to drive off once I've connected up. I can swing it and move it. If I do the opposing corners, it will move it on its own axle, okay, like so. Okay, it'll go backwards, so you can get it parked and tight and precisionally put into a position that you need it, not only for connecting to your car but for storing it on your driveway at home, etc. I'm going to leave it here, okay, for a minute. So once I've finished with it, press the button, it switches it off, left hand one with a red ring round it. Remove the isolating key from there like so. We said the battery stops with it, so I can now lock the battery lock door up like so, and then we can put your handsets just inside here, thus like that. Okay, so we know where they all are. Lock a door closed, connect up to your tow vehicle, and away you go. Well, that's our demonstration complete. I'd just like to thank you for watching. Thank you for purchasing from us at Viscount Leisure. My name's been Chris. Thank you very much and goodbye. Thank you.